He let the sun set free. It's free indeed. Freedom, said the Lord. Freedom, singing about freedom. Oh, freedom, said the Lord. Give me your freedom. I'm singing my freedom. Oh, freedom, said the Lord. Jesus was born in Bethlehem. He had a manger for a crib.
Tears in our eyes, going together to sing it, but we still decided to sing it. We shall overcome. No, before this victory is won, some will have to get thrown in jail some more, but we shall overcome.
Yes, sir.
Don't worry about us. Before the victory is won, some of us will lose jobs, but we shall overcome. Before the victory is won, even some will have to face physical death. Physical death is the price that some must pay to free their children from a permanent psychological death. Then nothing shall be more redemptive. We shall overcome. Before the victory is won, some will be misunderstood and called bad names and dismissed as rabble-rousers and agitators. But we shall overcome. And I'll tell you why. We shall overcome because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. We shall overcome because Carlyle is right. No lie can live forever. We shall overcome because William Cullen Bryant is right. Truth crushed to earth will rise again. We shall overcome because James Russell Lowell is right. Truth forever on the scaffold, wrong forever on the throne. Yet that scaffold sways the future. Behind the dim unknown standeth God within the shadow, keeping watch above his own. We shall overcome because the Bible is right. You shall reap what you sow. We shall overcome. Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome. With this faith, we will go out and adjourn the councils of despair, bring new light into the dark chambers of pessimism. We will be able to rise from the fatigue of despair to the buoyancy of hope. And this will be a great America. We will be the participants in making it so. So as I leave you this evening, I say, drop together, children. Don't you get weary. There's a great camp meeting in the promised land.
Today, talking to us by way of Dr. King, saying that we shall overcome. If nothing else, we took excerpts from that record to say, in fact, we shall overcome. We'd like to say Merry Christmas to you today, and we certainly hope that your season has been as joyous as our seasons have been. Thank you for joining us today to another report, the Grant Brothers Bluff City Report, as we bring to you current events that are happening in the city of Memphis. I'm Greg Grant, your host, and I'd like to introduce to you now my brother Alonzo Grant, the co-host of this show. Alonzo, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Greg. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good.
Good.
And real excited about being here. Do you have any Christmas cheer that you'd like to put out there?
We had a great Christmas on today. We had the eggnog and all the things that go with Christmas. We had just a warm and fuzzy Christmas. I think everybody got all the things that they thought they wanted.
Yeah.
And it was just lovely.
Yeah.
How about you?
Well, mine was simple, but it was sweet. We keep it quiet, and it was really, really good. We've had a great day today, and so many services are going on across the city today at various churches, and we'd like to wish all of those people and our family members a Merry Christmas as well. This is another Bluff City Report, And since the last time, there have been a lot of things going on in the city of Memphis.
Yes, yes.
And the thing that stands out so much in my mind today is the homicide rate. We're up to maybe 220 homicides.
220.
What do you say?
It's, I think we've talked about the homicide rate each and every show. And we're gonna have to come in 2017, January, come up with a 5-point plan, I think. We're gonna have a 5-point plan in order to curb some of the violence and help our citizens in the Bluff City. It's just absolutely inexcusable for the death rate or the homicide rate to be what it is within our community. And it can be stopped. It can be fixed.
Well, what do you say to the people last week on Monday who staged what they call a die-in on the lawn of the mayor's home? And not only that, they videotaped it on their cell phone and put it on the internet. The news media picked it up and they played some of that stuff on Channel 3. I saw.
Well,
What's your take on that?
I think they were absolutely out of order. It was wrong. You have no business staging a protest at the mayor's home. You have no business staging a protest at anyone's home. I mean, if you want to stage a protest, you have a right to go down to City Hall where the mayor resides in his workplace. That's where those kind of things should be done. If you work for Federal Express or Fred Smith, for example, and if FedEx wrongs you or you feel wrong in the workplace, you don't go and camp out in front of Fred Smith's home. Or you don't camp out in front of a person's home to get your point across. It's just absolutely wrong. I mean, the mayor's home is his home. And that's the way it should be.
And here's a man who has a family, may have a couple of children. These people were all in his front lawn, and I even noticed some guy walking up to his house, peeping in the window.
It's wrong.
And that's criminal trespassing, isn't it?
Criminal trespassing.
And in fact, if property is posted, you can almost get yourself shot.
Right.
From being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they said on TV that they'd be back next Monday.
And I think that even agitates the situation. Possibly, the mayor could have had something, and not to say that he's going to change his mind, but he could have had something good in the works. But if you go and violate the man's home, there's no telling how he's internally going to react to that.
Right.
You know I would.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like it.
Yeah. And the people that are leading this charge, they shouldn't put other people in harm's way.
They should. They should.
Because on next Monday, if they feel like they're going to go back and violate the mayor's property, I'm sure there are going to be ample number of police officers available to handle the situation.
In society, in politics, the only way that we get our just due is we have to conduct ourselves in an orderly, lawful way. And to do stuff that's unlawful and deceitful and deceptive is wrong.
Okay. Well, I heard you mention a minute ago something about a 5-point plan.
Well, that's where we're headed. And you mentioned the homicide rate, 220 people. 220 is insane. We're going to have to put the brakes on this thing. And we have talked about this show being a solution-based show. And we're going to have to put our money where our mouth is.
Okay.
And coming up, the new year, January, we're going to come out with our plan of how we can stem the violence and corruption, the murder rate, whatever's going on in our communities. And the plan is going to also include things that we must do inside of our community.
Right.
I mean, where the city can meet us halfway. I mean, the city does not bear full responsibility for us having a lot of the problems that we have in our communities. We have to bear some of the responsibility. What do you think?
So we're going to be pointing out the things that are within our control.
Correct.
To say the things that we can do as citizens to make Memphis a better place. And that's going to be very, very important. We're going to be touching on homelessness and hopelessness and economics, social issues.
Correct.
To bring the climate back to the point where it used to be, where we had very wholesome neighborhoods. So with that said, and some of the things that we're talking about doing, it's going to be sort of like an agenda. And we're going to touch bases with the elected officials to see if we can get them to sign on. Whether they sign on or not, we'll let you know the people that sign on, and we'll let you know the people who refuse to sign on.
Correct.
To say, we recognize, here are some of the problems that we have, and these are some of the solutions that we feel like we can put forth to make Memphis a better place.
Correct.
And there are no bad solutions. All solutions are good. We may not be able to use all of them, but all solutions are good, and all answers are good, and all information is good. And what we're going to do is try to run it through a field to come to a point where we have an organized agenda that we can present to this community.
And all of our representation is not bad. We got, or we have, some good representation.
I'll give you a prime example of good representation. On Sunday night, State Representative Barbara Cooper had the American Dream Community Neighborhood Blast-Off. This was an outstanding program that she put on, and inside of this program, any number of city leaders and county leaders and state leaders were at this particular meeting, talked about a lot of the problems that our community is having. And what we're having to do from this is put an agenda together.
Correct.
And hold our elected officials accountable. Make them accountable to us. So when the phone call is made, you can get some quick reactions.
And exactly, because in a lot of cases, they don't know what we want.
That's right.
Until we put forth the plan and ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we don't ever ask for what we really want, then we're just going to bump along as business as usual.
Mm-hmm.
And a good example, on Monday of this week, I took our nephew up to, which he has a chicken wing place, hot wing chicken place. And he's interested in being EBT recipient. And so we went to Nashville to try and get some resolve on how to apply. And because we couldn't get anything done in Memphis, so we thought maybe if we would go to Nashville, where the source is, then we could get some stuff done. So we got to Nashville on Monday morning, and we could get absolutely nothing done. Everybody we talked to, all of the places we went, we couldn't get anything done. I said, well, I told my nephew, which his name is Greg also.
Yeah.
I said, Greg, what we'll do, I know Joe Towns, Representative Towns. Why don't I pick up the phone and call our representative? Your business is in his district. And I'll tell him what we got going and see if we can get some results from him. I called Representative Towns, and we spoke maybe 5 or 6 minutes. I told him the problem, what we were experiencing and what was going on, and we couldn't get any results. And he said, let me tell you, hold on, how long are you going to be in Nashville? I can fix it. I said, well, I really don't know who to talk to or where to go. He said, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, we're going to find out what it is.
All right.
And immediately, he said, let me call my office and get my people on. And before we left Nashville, we had answers. His secretary called me and told me who she had called and what we needed to do. and how to get it done immediately. And that's a positive note. So that leads to me to believe that a lot of times we don't get any results because we don't ask for anything or the right things.
Or we're not calling the right people.
Exactly. It makes a difference if you, in government, if you can pick up the phone and call the elected official. If you can call the elected official, things are going to get done.
Right.
Period. In government.
So that's State Representative Joe Towns.
Absolutely.
Taking care of business in Nashville.
Taking care of business.
So what would be your advice to other state representatives and other leaders?
My advice would be to get involved with the people in your district and in your communities. I mean, because when you're talking about district politics, I think a lot of times even our representatives get it a little off base. If you represent a district, then you don't represent the entire West Tennessee.
Right.
You represent the people in your district. And if they happen to be people of color that voted for you, then that's who you have to say.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Period. You know, you're not the governor. I mean, you're not a senator. You are a state representative in a particular district. And the same thing goes for city council people. So don't come again telling me about a marijuana bill that applies to everybody in the city. Do something for the people in your district, whether it's the 8th district, the 9th district, or whatever. Make your business about people in your district. And that's how we're going to move forward.
Right. And what happens a lot is when you have a do-nothing representative, the people that are working hard end up getting their phone calls.
Correct.
You know, people from another district know that you're a hard worker, and as opposed to calling their particular representative, they call the one they see on TV the most. So what we're going to do is to geographically identify who these people are. So if you live in Westwood, if you live in Whitehaven, Orangetown, you need to know who your representatives are.
Exactly. I'll tell you a story I was reading just this morning about district representation. Now, you know, the governor has kind of sneaked through a bill to cut out all the state park workers and farm it out to the private sector. And we have one of our state senators from this area carrying the bill with a rep that's up in the rural areas of Tennessee. Because those kind of things, the state parks kind of affect the people in the rural areas more than they would us here. Because I think we only have maybe one state park here, which is T.O. Fuller's Park.
Well, we have another one.
Maybe, I think, out in Chevy.
Yeah.
Chevy Farms out in that,
Right.
Chevy Oaks out in that area. But at any rate, it affects those people more on that end of the state than it does us. So I got to ask myself the question, why is our senator that represents this area carrying a bill for the people up there? And it's okay. I mean, those people need a job. They're trying to carry a bill to stop the governor from farming it out so the state workers can keep their jobs. But that's fine, but you should be where you've been elected, representing those people. And they have a state senator on that end. So why not let their state senator on that end carry the bills or the representation in that area? And you should be here. We need some stuff
Taking
from
care
you.
of business
Where?
in this area.
In this area. Those kind of things. But we have to be more astute in our politics. We really do. And that's going to probably be our job, to be more informative to the people in the Bluff City.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind this is something that we need. Information is king.
The king.
You know, information can solve a lot of problems. So we're going to be into the problem-solving business, which we've already solved any number of problems since the last time we had this telecast. So tell me, let's go back to this 5-point plan, because I find that of great interest. Will you be accumulating information from the community, having symposium similar to the Memphis 3.0?
Well, one of the things we plan to do is, we discussed it briefly, about just taking to the road and going in the community with our cameras and filming what the people want and get a feel for what's really going on out there, and then bringing it back and adding the knowledge that we have to it and formulate the plan from there. I mean, because it has to be more than what we think it ought to be. Because at the end of the day, it's about what the people think it should be. But we're going to be the vessel to be able to draw it out of, I would think.
Well, I tell you, that is so needed, because this year in the season, we delivered Christmas baskets. And something that really broke my heart as we were delivering Christmas baskets out in North Memphis, off Firestone, in that area, going back north. We went through some houses, and these were houses that were like shotgun houses. You know what a shotgun house is, right? And it's just a straight back type situation. And I walked into several houses, and one in particular that really floored me is when I walked into the house to deliver the basket. I walked in, and it was just a dirt floor, where the planks on the floor had been worn out, and it was like dirt in the house. 2016, we got people living like that.
Unbelievable.
Throughout the house, the floors were torn up. It was just dirt.
And then we wonder why people are doing so many unusual things. And we're not trying to excuse anyone. You're responsible and accountable for your actions. But you have to find out the root cause of why people are doing this stuff. And those are some of the reasons. When you have nothing and you walk around and see everything.
Yeah. And people watching TV, and you got this program on TV with Lucius Lyons and Cookie. What's the name of that thing?
I don't watch it.
Well, anyway, all of this is make-believe.
Make-believe.
They have a record label, and they're living over the top. And at the end of the program, you got people going out trying to live like that.
Right.
Even people with money don't live over the top like these folks live on this television show.
Sure.
It's crazy. So when you see Lucius Lyon and Cookie Lyon, and when the show goes off and you turn around to your house and you're walking on dirt, how do you think that makes you feel? You feel like you're supposed to have what you see on TV.
Exactly. And a lot of this stuff that we have just forgotten about. We have moved away from certain things, and I'm not saying physically moved into other areas, but we've mentally moved away from things, and a lot of that stuff we don't think even exists anymore.
Well, it exists.
It's widespread.
It does.
It's widespread, and it's mind-boggling when you see that, because as you said, in 2016, a person's walking on a dirt floor.
I couldn't believe the poverty level in this city, going unnoticed, unresolved, and nobody seemingly is addressing that issue, where people are living from pillar to post with no hopes of tomorrow. There's a major problem.
It's a major problem because the only thing that truly gets anyone, and not just poor people, but any person through life, is hope. You have to hope and dream that it can be a better day. And I always think of things such as in the past. I mean, we haven't just lived a bad life. And in a lot of cases, we had a good life. And that life propels you forward because you know it can be good.
Right.
But you got a lot of people have never had it good.
And a prime example is just the other day I was talking to our mother, Muddy, as we know, and we talked about these kinds of things as when we were growing up with 8 children. We didn't have a lot of money, but we had a lot of love. We went to school clean every day. We were wearing bow ties and looking good, and before people were wearing bow ties, we were wearing bow ties in the 2nd and 3rd grade.
Absolutely.
Every day.
Absolutely.
We had a fresh haircut every weekend.
Every week.
Did it happen?
Even when we didn't want it, we had it.
We got it. And you can't underestimate having 2 parents in the home where our dad took over the father role.
Correct.
And he actually did that. And didn't let us just grow up footloose and fancy free. And that's kind of what's going on right now. Nobody's watching the children.
Right.
So these are some of the things that we're hoping that we'll be able to address because it's so important, because it follows you for the rest of your life.
And a lot of things, and that's where the city comes in. A lot of things we can do to bring ourselves back to reality. But then it takes finances to do some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we spoke on the last show about community centers, community involvement. Well, the city has zapped all the community center money out, and we don't have monies to do anything, as they say. So where's the money? We have the same tax base, if not bigger, than we had 15, 20 years ago. The tax base is consistently growing. But my thing is, when you know certain things, if we consistently give away our tax dollars to big business, then it's never going to be any money to take care of the citizens that actually pay the taxes.
And we've got to be the conscience.
We got to be the conscious.
And bring these issues to the forefront and speak truth to power. Even when it doesn't feel good, you got to speak truth to power. And to speak truth to power requires you to have courage.
That's right.
And that's what people are lacking today, is courage. We certainly have enjoyed this 30 minutes of talking about some of the things that we're going to be addressing in the coming weeks as we go into 2017. Again, we'd like to say Merry Christmas to all of you, and we certainly look forward to seeing you in the not too distant future. So if it's any given Sunday, it's going to be the Grant Brothers Bluff City Report. Thank you for tuning in, and Merry
Christmas and a happy and prosperous new year. Thank you.
It's good.
Good.